Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Weinberg. Yo, it is up. Great. And I'm really happy to be here. I don't want to bore you with any French, which I learned at school. I'm from Germany. I learned 4 years French. We want to go. We're going to have a nice afternoon. Actually, I think you are very brave to stay the whole day in a non-team mode, listening to lots of people talking about teams, a lot about interactivity. It's so great. Why is that? This is why you are trained and conditioned in a way to do this. You learned this in school, to sit very quiet. You learned this in university. This is a normal university setting. You were sitting there, I want to do my email, but it doesn't work. And you're trained very well. And I want to talk a little bit about 8 years of my experience, kind of de-learning, unlearning students, this kind of habits. Because if you would have been at the D.school, Stanford, Potsdam, here, 20 years ago, you would not stand this. You would definitely go out, you would stand out, you would kind of say, no, stop that. Our students hopefully do that. Your students hopefully do that. And Veronique, thanks a lot for setting this whole thing up. I was here several years ago, I saw a little entity, and now you're bringing it, you're growing it perfectly. I want to share about my 8 years of experience being out of the niche. I used to be a specialist in computer graphics, computer animation, for 25 years. For 20 years, I'm a professor for computer graphics, computer animation. Since 8 years, I started to run the School of Design Thinking, which is in Potsdam, very close to Berlin. And it's a little school, the Hasso-Plattner Institute is a little IT institute founded by the person, who doesn't work, in the blue shirt, Hasso-Plattner, who is actually the co-founder of SAP, of SAP. And he decided to spend a lot of his private money into education, IT education. This was it, 1998. And then he discovered something at Stanford. He discovered the guys Veronique met also. And we met at the same time at Stanford, about 2007, 2008. But at 2004, those guys, and you have seen the pictures, they were doing something really radical. They were kind of getting rid of this kind of environment. They were saying, let's do what we have heard during the whole day. Let's cross the disciplines. Let's tear down the walls between the disciplines, and let's create something which we do an experiment, we call it the D.school. At that time, it was completely new. Design thinking was not new. Tearing down walls was also not new. There was at least lots of history. We have seen it. If you think at Bauhaus 100 years ago, they tried to do this between the arts, also tear down the walls. But they were saying, let's do it 360 degrees. Not just apart, not just the engineering department, no. They were saying, we want to invite the medical students, the biology students, the mechanical engineers, the artists, the sports students, all of them. We want to get all their knowledge because we know tackling complex problems is not anymore possible, or solving them just out of one perspective, and also not just with a set of experts. We need a complex setting. And this was a great idea. At that time, it was fully crazy. In the university setting, also to do something which they implemented with no grading. Don't grade any single person. Big step. So, I was invited then, 2007, by Hasso-Plattner, because he was the founder, the financier in the back at Stanford, and then he was saying that it seems to be a successful model. We need the same thing also in Europe. We need it also in Germany. So they found me as a person who is related somehow to a digital history, but also in the field of creativity. And since that time, I have the pleasure to run that thing. And I got to know all those people, especially the students. And I'm doing this now in Potsdam. We did the same, very similar thing. But since we were such a small institute, we are not a large university like this one here, and not like Stanford. So we're just 500 students, all IT, So what we did, we opened up to all universities in the neighborhood. To the Humboldt University, Technical University Berlin, to all the universities in the neighborhood. The interesting thing was, at the first year, we had actually students from, I think, 16 universities, 40 students from 16 universities from 30 different backgrounds. But already in the second year, students started to apply from all over Europe and then from all over the world. And all of a sudden, we had students from South America, from Shanghai, from North Europe, from everywhere. And we couldn't believe it, because what we are offering is just a 2-day science program for students who are studying somewhere, doing their master's, doing their PhD in their field. 2 days a week, we ask them to be at our place and to be in a team. And we don't offer grading, we don't offer credit points, we don't offer a certificate, so it's completely valueless in the academic system. And still, hundreds of people are applying. Up to now, we couldn't believe it, actually, that they're doing this. And they are enjoying it. And we have 35 professors and assistants, so we have a strong teaching team, and they're all from different disciplines, and they're also part-time. We have a brilliant team of full-time people here. They do the administration. Petra, where's Petra? One of the people is here. Where are you? Oh, up there. So she's relationship management. And we have a huge teaching team. So just to give you an idea. And this is also changing, like our students, we are constantly changing the people, but we have a very experienced group of teachers now who used to be traditional teachers, sometimes used to be in the industry, and now they're trained to not to do the things what I'm doing. This is a traditional way. Professors and standing in front of a large group of people and giving a lecture. So we don't do this anymore. Because we think this time is maybe 20th century, maybe 19th century, but 21st century, we need something different. And we are experimenting with that. And we do this, like our friends at Stanford, we ask companies, institutions, large ones like the big car companies, Volkswagen, for example, small and medium-sized companies like Miele, Sennheiser, to give us their actual problem, their real problems. And this is the purpose where students get together. They're saying, oh, there's a real problem in the outside world. The institution has a problem. We have the chance to solve it in one semester. This is a big thing, so we do this. And we also ask smaller companies, NGOs, governmental institutions, and it's amazing, they're approaching us now because they know us as a kind of solving machine or solving institution for their problems. And they return. It's not that you just come once, and they pay. Actually, they pay a lot of money for every semester project, which is great. Students don't have to pay, just a little bit. But the companies are paying. So this was a portfolio of one of the former semesters. This is the current portfolio of the current semester. So every semester we have a completely new portfolio. We don't have any curriculum in a traditional sense. This is actually the curriculum. Learning and working is the same. We treat it as the same thing. You learn the best while you work. And you work the best while you're learning. And this is, if you look at those, I just pick out, what should I pick out? The future of butchers. Butcher 2.0, in a world where everything is vegan, vegetarian. The German butchers, they get nervous. Yeah? They actually get nervous because they think maybe we have to rethink our whole business model, you know? We do another, and they approached us actually. And there's the Bundespolizei, the federal police, together with Frankfurt Airport and Lufthansa, they approached us about airport security control. After the German Wings disaster, you all know about, they were saying we have to do something. They were calling us out of a meeting of all the security experts of Germany. They were sitting together and they knew that we have a semester slots. And they were actually calling us out of the meeting if there's a slot available. And so we started it last week. And there's another, let's look at that one. we got approached by the guys, by the justice guys from the responsible person for all the prisons in Berlin. And they have an incredible question. They have the question, all over Europe, there's no place where any prisoner has access to internet. Is there a way for especially looking at the resocialization process at the end, after 5 years being in prison, does it make sense to keep those people completely away of a thing we're using all the time? Tricky question. These kind of questions are very, very interesting to us because at the first moment you think completely unsolvable or completely bullshit. So our students work on this. And this is the atmosphere we're in. And I added something after listening to so many talks, especially in the morning also. I added I needed to put in this thing because you might ask, what kind of companies are doing design thinking in Germany? And usually I used this as an example, BMW. Because if you look at the i8 and i3, those cars, in the middle of last year, I was approached by BMW. We were not involved. They didn't ask us to develop those. No, they did this internally as a design thinking process. And I'm allowed to say this, even if on their website, their communication, they don't use it. But actually, they did it. They put a design thinking team together for developing a completely new set of cars. Electrical car, completely sustainable. Every detail is rethought in a completely new way. Even the whole production line is completely new. But then I was reading about this car. And you might have seen that. And then something really strange happened. Because Google was, all of a sudden, they were showing this little ugly potato, which is a kind of three-dimensional version of the Android logo on wheels, a self-driving car. But Google was known to be a company under S in the alphabet, like search engine, but not under A, like automobiles. And the whole German car industry was like scared. To the outside, they were saying, oh, no problem. The head of Daimler was saying, oh, no problem. We're very good friends with Google, and they're just the search engine guys. They're not too much. We're the car guys, you know. And but behind the scenes, you could actually see they were like shaking. And and then I found this nice little video, and you might have seen that. I just show some seconds to illustrate.
Today we have
how
something
Google
extra
is
special
using
for
it,
you
how
guys.
doing
You
that.
guys will be some of the first people outside of our team and outside of Google to ever ride in it.
Oh, there it is. Oh, isn't that cute?
So just driving around.
Okay,
Kids
Eddie, here we
were not
go.
allowed to drive
All right, Connie, let's go.
using it.
There's no steering wheel in the way.
It was a big decision for us
A
to go
blind
and
person.
start building our purpose-built vehicles for this. And really, they're prototype vehicles. They were a chance for us to explore what does it really mean to have a self-driving vehicle. But in the small amount of time we've been working on it, you know, we have.
So just stop that here, because we don't have too much time. I just want to illustrate, there is a search engine company, they do something else, but all of a sudden they found out it might be very interesting to build a car and to do a prototype. And they did this prototype, and no German car company would ever have shown this kind of prototype in the public. No, it's just too ugly, it's not finished, it's not the shiny thing. I had a chance after this presentation, after this video, which was shown, most of you have probably seen that. I got together, I was invited by Rupert Stadler, he's the head of Audi, the CEO of Audi. And we had a talk for half a day about big changes, transformation processes in large companies. And not just about new cars. But he was telling me very proud, he's saying, I was asking him with the Google thing, is that scary to you? And he was saying, no. We have all these technologies, everything is there, you know, and we just recently did an interesting thing. We showed that we proved that we can do that. and I show you.
Hello everybody, this is Audi
video.
Media TV from the Hockenheim Ring, Germany. Today Audi has sent this RS7 concept piloted driving out to the track with no driver behind the wheel at full racing speed, and everything worked out well, smoothly and fine. Audi has proved that this is the sportiest piloted driving car so far. Unfortunately, we've heard that our website was down for some time due to the unexpected high amount of users. We apologize for this technical problem, and that's why we would like to show you the highlights of our show run once again.
Once everything is safe, Bobby is absolutely away. The first piloted car here at the Hockenheim Ring with Audi. This RS7 accelerates now towards the Nord curve of turn 1. You can see that, look, it's being steered by nobody. It's being controlled by the intelligence. A great line through turn 1, heading up now towards turn 2. Just look at the speed.
Stop here. You could check it out on the internet. I looked at it and I listened to his story, and there was, first of all, I thought, wow, what a great thing. He showed me the car. But then I started asking myself, there is no person in the car. Who is watching this? For whom is Audi designing this? And no one could answer me that question. It's not that I want to bash on the German car manufacturer, but it scared me to see that there is a huge company just being on the track for technology, completely losing the people like behind them. They're completely off. They're very proud that there's no person involved. How great is that? Do we like that? Probably not. No emotion involved. So, and this is what I see with a lot of big companies. They are in the same situation. They always do what they used to do for the last 50, 70 years, and they're very proud of what they can do. And look at those are project partners here from our side, student project partners. You see a lot of different companies. A lot of them have the same problem. They just lost the user. They lost the people, and they're now figuring out we have to find them back. And please help us. Please give us a chance. And design thinking is actually a very, very good approach to help them. So I think this thing I don't have to tell you. We are following the full focus on human values, not too much on technology, not too much on business. But I want to share one other. Does it work anymore? Yeah, it works. The 3 core elements. We have seen them at one of the slides, I think. I think it's very, very important. This is our basic set of design thinking. That's how we define design thinking. This is what, when I returned from Stanford at that time, I was doing some notes, and it was basically this. First thing, we don't focus too much anymore on the individual creative power. We focus on the creative power of teams, and this is why we don't grade. Because evaluation of a teamwork, or doing teamwork and evaluating single people, hurts the teamwork. So please don't do it. Second thing is we're using a process which is activating the full mental power, the left part and the right part of the brain. This is very important because usually with our disciplines, we just cut out one part of the brain. We just forget about the rest. But all people, all students, all people are equipped with the full mental power, so we just have to use it. And this is what those 6 steps do. And the other thing is very important, is the space. And we shouldn't forget about this. Most of the companies and institutions we are involved with, they completely forget about it. Because they think, we have our buildings, we have our office spaces, and we just have to use them. What we have to do is we have to change them. We have to be mindful for all 3 of those, because those are the core defining elements of learning and also of working culture. The place, the process, and the people. And since we are living in times of significant changes, of incredible paradigm shifts, of global connectivity, of growing networks, of growing complexity, we have to tackle all 3 of those. This is why I call those the dynamic triangle of design thinking. Because you cannot just take a picture and do it at home. You have to actually define it into your culture. Every company has to do that. Every institution has to do it. And it has to be developed further and further. And this is how we're doing this, how we are treating that. We constantly developing the space, constantly developing further the program, constantly looking, are we treating the teams right? Are we doing the right things? Actually, we had to develop our own furniture because we couldn't find it. We couldn't find team supporting furniture in a stand-up position, flexible enough so that team spaces can breathe, can be larger, smaller, as teams needs it. And this is part of the furniture. This furniture we did for ourselves. You find them now in more than 100 institutions in Germany. Completely unexpected, completely unintended. And another unintended impact you see here. I don't have the time to go through some of the projects. Just a quick glance of some of the projects with impact. But I want to show you this one, because this one was completely unexpected. This is a list, a summary, and it's not even complete. Peter was just telling me there are even 10 missing. This is the list of startups and spin-offs just falling out of our process. We didn't actively support this. We have constantly startups to be running, falling out of the design thinking process at our school, with 120 students representing more than 60 different disciplines, more than 50 universities, every semester new students, and they're actually activated to be entrepreneurs. And they're not entering the school as entrepreneurs. No, they get out of that in a completely different mode. And this is so important. Another unintended impact is that we see design thinking labs in Germany now all over the places. There's just a selection, but large companies are running this kind of things that they are asking us to help to establish those, like Deutsche Bank, DHL, since several years already, and they're further developing, and they have a hard time using it because it's so different to their normal corporate environment, but they're actually doing it. And so we started professional education, and actually through that program, we have 240 students a year running through our normal student program. This, also unintended, runs about 1,000 professionals who want to learn, and so we had to build up another entity, another company to follow this kind of needs. And I want to end with a glance here, and with a big thank you to all the community, especially to our French friends, to Véronique, and I'm really looking forward to a close cooperation in the future and to a great development here. Thanks a lot.